And so when you look at this treaty, guys, you really have to look at the short-term consequences and you have to look at the long-term consequences. So in the short term, the League of Nations idea for Woodrow Wilson, that was accepted even though the French and the British, which they'd done the majority of the fighting, the dying, it kind of was tough to argue with them. They did accept the idea he had for the League of Nations. And then also, guys, another big impact early on after the treaty was Germany's economy. It got bogged way down. So the taking of those territories, a lot of those were industrial territories, industrial lands that um, were big for the German economy. So the German economy went way down because now they didn't own those anymore. Other nations did. And then, obviously, as part of that, also with the reparations, guys, Germany plunged into a depression due to hyperinflation. Okay, and so basically, guys, you had a situation hyperinflation. Inflation happens naturally over time, so that's why when your great grandma and grandpa were young, a cheeseburger cost 25 cents at McDonald's. It's not that things are totally more expensive from a value standpoint. It's because of inflation. So you have inflation. So that's why they say, well, back at that time it was worth $2 million, which in today's money is 50 million, whatever. Okay, whatever the calculations are. So you have natural inflation, guys, but you also have hyperinflation, which is inflation over a quick period of time, a short period of time. So it jumps up there, spikes up there very quickly. And basically, what that means, inflation means, is the value of your currency goes down. It's worth less. And so what happened, guys, was the French and British kept demanding reparations, the reparations payments from the Germans, and because their economy stunk, because they lost all those lands, they couldn't keep up with the payments. And they were threatening to go to war with them. The French were threatening to move in and take the Ruhr River Valley from the Germans if they didn't keep paying reparations. And so it was a big, big mess. And basically, they kept printing money to pay these reparations. Well, guys, that's why countries don't just print as much money as they need, as much as they want, is because then the value of their currency decreases. Okay, the value of your money decreases. It's a simple supply and demand, right? If there's more money out there, anyone can get it. It's not worth as much. Okay, and so they experienced hyperinflation. It was a bad, bad deal. You had women, waiting in bread lines with wheelbarrows. They're holding wheelbarrows full of German marks because it took that many German marks to buy a loaf of bread. It wasn't worth the paper it was being printed on. So it's a bad, bad deal early on. And guys, the long-term effects, a lot of people would argue, is this helped give rise to the Nazi Party and Adolf Hitler. And so Hitler and his Nazis basically, part of the reason that people voted them in was, hey, we are going to right the wrongs of the Treaty of Versailles. We got screwed over by France, we got screwed over by Britain. We're going to teach them a lesson. We're going to build up our military again. We're going to oppose the treaty and rebuild our military to become a military power again. We're going to turn the economy around. It's all of our government people that were part of the Weimar Republic. That's what they called it. The government back then that signed the treaty. Those people, they're to blame. The Jews are to blame. And I'm going to fix all this. Okay? And so that really gave his opening with the German people. They were desperate because of the Depression and all that and the situation, and they wanted some retribution. Okay? And he was offering it to them. So that was a big part of it. And then obviously, he helped plunge Germany and Europe, and then eventually much of the world into World War II. Okay, so a lot of the blame for World War II can be squarely put on the Treaty of Versailles, and one has to wonder what would have happened, what would have been different had Woodrow Wilson got his 14 points, where he said, "Hey, let's fix some of these problems, let's fix some of these issues, but let's not come down hard on Germany. You really have to wonder what would have happened had they stuck with that. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you later.